Andrew Samuel Patterson Jr. His first broadcast with my podcast. Today, we want to talk about reparations and how important that is for Africans all over the world, not just here in America. In 1994, you can see this, I filed, along with my brothers, for reparations. We took it all the way to the court system. You see, we're here in the Esquire magazine that took up the article in 1994. And we fought it all the way in court and took it all the way to the court in San Francisco. We had some bootlickers, attorneys, who were supposed to get in there and really fight for us. But they can continue to talk about sanctions. Well, we decided to go ahead and let them handle the case. But if we had known the outcome, we would have continued to fight the case ourselves, for reparations. We was able to go on a lot of television shows. We flew to Missouri because at that particular time, people of that part of the country, Kansas City, Detroit, St. Louis, had filed for reparations, but they were suing the companies, which I thought was great. They were suing the companies, and they was meeting and invited me to the table. As we continued to study reparations, we found that $2.1 million went to the African Americans for the survivor of the 1923 massacre of Rosewood. And so we were trying to, get on the page with what did they use in court in order to secure those funds. Okay. And then Congress passed a law for African Americans in Chicago of $5.5 million for police brutality. And we were trying to get the rules and regulations, which got them, paid for that. 1921, the Black Wall Street massacre of Tulsa, Oklahoma, which that wasn't the only city. They had at least 100 cities in America where the federal government refused to come in, stop the white mobs from killing our people and burning down the establishments that gave them economic empowerment. When we went back to St. Louis, we were able to meet with Johnny Cochran's staff before he passed away and meet with him, his staff, to talk about him taking over reparations. Then all of a sudden, suddenly he passed away. And we thought that was very, very, very suspicious. We also was on reparations for stealing the black inventions, the third rail, the American clock, the shoe machine. That revolutionized the shoe industry all over the world. Blood plasma, the stoplight, the plans for Washington, D.C., and the washer and dryer, just to name a few. We were stolen from Africa and brought here as slaves, and brought here as slaves to make sure that America had free labor with white wealth. And this is why we, went on and filed reparations. We continue to get into fighting with reparations, but like I said, the individuals that was representing us in San Francisco just laid down and went on and talked about, well, we follow these motions and they'll put sanctions against us. This is so damn what? Go ahead and fight the fight. So we was continuing to like to fight the fight. I don't know why a lot of our people are letting this president tell them to send their kids back to school. It seems like he's going to try to murder our children because there's no cure for the virus. and they don't have anything set in place where uh, they'll start knocking the virus down. What we need to do is like the young black man and black woman who got out there in them streets after Mr. Floyd's death and stand up. You got to stand up. Sending your kids to school is not the answer. You want to send your kids to school? The hospitals are getting all filled up, and especially now in California, okay? Especially now in California. They want to be able to ship your kids out to school. So you got to stand up, just like those black young black men and black women who were on the protests for Black Lives Matter, and make sure that their voices were heard. Your voices need to be heard about sending your kids to school because of this white man's order, talking about sending kids to school, and there's really no plan in place. So you got to step up like the young black men and women who was demonstrating for Black Lives Matter, and make sure that once again that your voices are heard. The young black men, I got to take my hat off to them, and the women who are out there on the front line because of the fact they were facing these police officers. They had bayonets, but they were hidden. They had the tear gas and the virus. So our individuals was on the front line. You individuals that got your kids in school should make sure you don't send them back to school. We're trying to recoup the reparations by working with Dr. Claude Anderson. And he has a beautiful plan mapped out for what this money is going to be spent. Free loans, education, land. I'm totally with his package. Dr. Claude Anderson. He's going to be, he's at the Harvard. Subscribe to, for his book, Black Labor, White Wealth. And right now, these books are just flying off the shelves, flying off the shelves. I can't hardly nobody be able to get them now. So if you get in line, you'll be hear what he's talking about. We also found for the Tuskegee study of unrelated syphilis on Black males at Tuskegee Institute. You see again, there again is America testing us for all type of diseases and things of that nature. Okay, and having our own people help them for a check, just for a check. Okay. So we don't need to continue to go back to where things were since the virus here. Dr. Claude Anderson is drafting up a constitution that we can be able to get under, have a nation in a nation, just like the Indians. Okay, a monthly check, some land, and some grants, some loans, education, and get away from America. Go back and talk with them for what? We already know what they was doing. In my lifetime, I've seen these presidents come and go with their lies. I've seen our people run up there and kiss their ass and lick their boots for a check. They're not looking. They're looking for income. That's all they want is an income check and to be on stage and on the cameras to get some type of recognition. We have the San Francisco supervisor, Mr. Shannon Watson of District 10, who's helping us with reparations, along with myself. And California, about 3 weeks ago, passed some legislation in the Assembly to study reparations. We don't need no study. HR 40 was in the House for 15 years, did all the studying. We need these crackers to cut the check. economy run smooth when we get our money. Spending over $950 billion on gas and food, clothes, and things of that nature. So we need to rally within ourselves and make sure that we cut them off, just like the Indians did. Just like the Indians did. Cut them loose. Cut them loose. Okay. Yeah. How you doing, Eddie? Eddie just tuned in. So like I said, the California Assembly 3 weeks ago passed the reparation bill, okay? Just to study reparations. And that's the same thing Biden is doing, talking about study. We don't need no study. We need you to cut the check. I got some information on Biden, as far as him talking about black folks about 10 years ago. I got an article I'll be showing later on, not in this podcast, but later on in another podcast. And we are filing reparations for the Punch Bowl in Mississippi. It was a concentration camp for blacks. The U.S. military forced the free blacks to do labor without pay and would not let them leave the Punch Bowl. According to their estimates, 20,000 of our people right after slavery, 1845, were forced to do this labor in this concentration camp, and they were all killed. The federal government wouldn't let them leave. And that's the problem with us. We run back to the white man and run back to them, talking about, oh, yeah, I'm sorry, everything is fine. It's not. You need to get away from them. The Muslims have been speaking about this long time ago. Get away from them. Get our own separate thing like the rest of the races do in America. We're the only one that fall for the integration thing. We're the only one that fall for the integration thing, okay? Well, we sitting up in here making sure they are friends, and they're really our enemies. Really our enemies. You can contact Dr. Watson at www.powernomics.com and sign up for reparations. We have our brothers and sisters over in other continents, such as in Europe, who are fighting for reparations, and they're talking about cutting them a check. It's how much they're putting up demands for reparations, bringing them from Africa up to Europe to do free labor. And we need to do the same thing. We have to unite all over the world, and that's what Africans are doing. All over the world is uniting behind this reparations. Just because we got some people over in Haiti, and if you visited there, you say, oh, they're living poor, this and that. They're living no poorer than we. They're living just as poor as we are in America. Okay? Those are our brothers and sisters over in Haiti. And the only thing separate us from the brothers in Europe and the brothers in other parts of the world that was taken for slavery is a boat stop. Okay? So we're real serious about getting up under here and making sure that we receive reparations. In 1862, America gave away 1 million acres of land to the immigrants. 1862, we were still slaves. We didn't get none of that. 1860, the gold rush ended. We didn't get none of that to be able to pull ourselves up with economic empowerment. And yet you got the federal government running around, burning our towns down, not giving us any support, just like they did in the massacre at the Devil Punch Bowl in Mississippi in 1865, which was ridiculous. We shouldn't be paying our taxes, doing what we can do as far as trying to be a good citizen, and we don't get any love and respect for what we're doing. Okay? We're still going to be fighting these reparations real hard, and has to to try to explain to Africans in this country. I don't consider myself an American because they have never made sure we were Americans. They have two constitutions. Well, actually, they got three constitutions, according to Dr. Claude Anderson. The first one was the first 12. Then they put the 13th and 14th and 15th Amendment and the Constitution together. It was supposed to have been for us, but everybody is getting privileges off that but us. Then you had the Reconstruction, where the Congress shot it down, so we wouldn't be able to get anything. So what we have to do is make sure that we start start getting ourselves together and pooling our money along with our vote. Now, talk about this voting issue coming up. I've voted in elections and things, and I've watched the people that we would vote for get all type of benefits. We didn't get any. I'm tired of that game. Go vote for you. And just like Malcolm X said, they put you last. You vote for them and they put you last, which is ridiculous. You sit up and give your vote. We should not give up the vote unless we got reparations on the table, not no study. They can keep that study and give it to their mama. We need them to cut the damn check. I want to take time to talk about some individuals from Kansas City, Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri, who's also fighting reparations, that I'm going to be hooking up with, and that turned me on to the Vicki Dillard Show, her podcast, along with Fly Nubian Queen TV.com. I think they're excellent sisters. They're for real. They're making sure their voices are heard, and they're making sure that the bootlickers and a lot of you Africans that sit around here thinking that everything is going to be fine because the white man told you everything is fine. It's not the truth. I think I encourage you to look at the Vicki Dillard Show, and along with the rest of the queens. Very informational. They're very serious, and they got their stuff together as far as I'm concerned. This is the reason why I started this podcast, because watching Vicki Dillard and the Sisters of the Fly Nubian Queen .com TV, and I think that they need to be commended and take their hands off. Take my hat off of them. We'll take my hat off now, but the whole thing is, I'm in California, and we haven't had our barbershops open up for a while. I have 2 barbers because I'm a commander, and when I give my workshops on economic empowerment for veterans, what I do is give free haircuts to the veterans. They come out for the workshops. I will be talking about the veterans. We will be talking about service-connected, non-service connected, what type of forms you need to file, and let the veteran understand, the Black veteran understand that this money that you're getting is not a gift. Every month when you serve, they took money out your check. Okay? So you'll be okay when you got out the military and you'll be taken care of. But we're fighting a battle with the VA, who are very racist. They need to move their ass over and pay a lot of these individuals. We'll be talking about the Black women whose husband was in the military. They died. Their husband died. And then the VA is refusing to give them their funds as a survivor. We'll be talking about those issues and how we can be able to change. We'll be talking about the racist American Legion. We had to get away from them because all they was doing was taking care of white veterans, and the Black veterans left out in the cold. But we're uniting and make sure we have our workshops and deal with the appropriate people in Congress and the Senate to make sure our rules and our rights, are protected. We have to make sure that we stay up on these reparations and get as many of our people to the table as possible. as possible. Because right now, you have the vote. And if reparations, let me reiterate, if reparations are not on the table, why are you voting? Vote for what? For them to have everything they got coming, and then they take care of our business last? We don't need to be sitting around there voting when reparations is not on the table about cut the check, not a study. They want to have you vote for Biden, and he talking about reparations in the study. That's another 4 years. That's another 4 years. All the murder that they got running up in the country, killing black men, killing black women, reparations are due. Just murdering our people for nothing. Same thing when our soldiers was coming back trying to help these crackers fight these wars, World War I, World War II. It was the same thing when they was found hung in their uniforms. Federal government did nothing to help us. The federal government did nothing to help us. I'm an ex-Marine. I'm talking about getting off in their ass. You come trying to hang me up in a tree, you're gonna find some holes in your Ku Klux Klan suit, or you're gonna find some blood leaking from you, because I'm not the one. There's a whole bunch of us brothers, we're not the one. And plus, I'm from Oakland, California. We don't play that in Oakland. I'm from North Oakland, which I'll be talking more about in my podcast, because we had great individuals from North Oakland who taught us how to stand up as men, who taught us how to fight for the senior citizen rights, our youth programs, employment, small businesses. And those individuals passed that information out to a lot of us people in North Oakland. And what we're going to do is make sure that we'll be back out there fighting as activists. Again, well, actually, we never stopped. It's just the point, a lot of things that we do, it doesn't get publicized. I'm going to be talking to you about Sakani Takarati. The Black veterans have an international soccer team. And the soccer team is for the youth in Sakani Takarati and Black youth in America. And what we're going to be doing is enrolling the individuals from Sakani Takarati and from the Bay Area into programs like Local 3, who have engineer programs, crane operators. And that's what we're about, Black veterans, about truck driving, and a skill that you can use anywhere in the world. This is what we teaching our young men, how to be able to come up. The young ladies too, if you can get behind the big old machines and drive them, it's not a big thing to drive these big machines and become an engineer. We want to make sure that they come to America, play the international game, so we can raise funds. Now, I have an import-export business, and we'll be talking about that later. I'm registered in America, and I'm registered in Ghana. Let me back up also a little bit and tell you that for 9 years, I was the CEO of the African Sister City program in Oakland, California, which is Sakani Takarati. That's Oakland's African Sister City. So for 9 years, I spent 4 months looking at the culture and looking about the economic empowerment as far as the cocoa, the banana, and the rubber that we'll be able to invest our dollars in so you can get a big check at the end. It's time for us to start working with our own people. Just like the Chinese, the Mexicans, the Filipinos, I'm not mad at them. We need to work with our own people because they got resources. There's no resources here for us in America. Only thing they want to do is kill us. Send our kids to school to catch the virus. All they want to do is make sure that we're locked up in jail, mass incarceration. Biden stood up there and had this big mass incarceration bill for us. In California, there's 5 privately owned prisons. So the district attorney, the public defender, and the prosecuting attorney was all in it together on little crimes that should have been just a slap on the wrist. Just a slap on the wrist, but it wasn't like that. They would send them to do hard time, and they just not pressing license plates anymore. They're in the furniture, clothing, and computer chips. The 5 prisons out here in California sued because they wouldn't get enough labor from the people they had the contracts with. So you see, it's reparations is a thing where it's economic empowerment, economic justice, in which we should be able to get and take care of our kids and our grandchildren. This is not just for you, it's for your kids and everybody else. But like I said, the rest of the Africans around the world are stepping up for reparations. Tired of being just having a paycheck and have some income. We should be able to have wealth. Wealth is what we're talking about. Working with Dr. Claude Anderson, I'm very impressed with him. You need to look him up. Get on the bandwagon for reparations, and we can start building a war chest. I'm going to be continuing to work from this podcast twice a week with no pay, because we'll be asking for contributions later on, but it'll be for the Black veterans to get pencils and a paper so that they can be able to write down this information about their benefits. Also, we like to feed the veterans a nice lunch to show them that we appreciate them. The other money will go to our international soccer team for them to get new balls and shoes. We have to play for the field over there, but with American money, we Black veterans have been doing okay, taking care of them. They're off right now for the virus, but they're doing some individual training because my boys are ready over in Sekani Takoradi, Ghana. They're ready to come here and show what they want to know. But at the end of the day, after the match, both wins, both individuals win. The Black youth in America and in Sekani Takoradi in the skills. My program is based on people who are doing something, okay? Doing something, not a bunch of chatter. I've been to all type of meetings with a bunch of chatter in Oakland. I know the individuals from Oakland, all they wanted was a check. They didn't care about the community. They didn't care about their race. They had no pride. All they wanted was a check. I know them. I know the pastors running around and taking people's money and not providing any good services for the seniors or the youth. I know them. I've been there with them. I turned my back on them because I drove 18 wheelers. And I was a warehouseman, certified forklift driver, along with a half a longshoreman, because the longshoremen was our sister union to the warehouses. Once the product was brought to America, it had to go in a warehouse. So I had those type of skills to make my own money. And that's what we do, make our own money. These beads here, they're from Sekani Takoradi, Ghana. These are the wonderful beads that only African people should be wearing because it means a lot. The thing with this boo-boo I have on, it's from Ghana. We have a lot of good clothes coming from Ghana, a lot of good beds and furniture, pots and pans and jewelry and art. You'll see me wearing different things from Ghana as far as the jewelry is concerned. And we have individuals that got shops and things of that nature. And if you want to, when you want to visit Ghana, there are wonderful hotels and places for you to stay and look at our great history. We had history way before we came here. When I was messing around with the podcast, I had an individual from Europe. Talking about this white man talking about, well, I want reparations because of the Moors. See, we had the Moors over in Africa kicking ass. And he said the Moors took his people and put them in slavery. Well, you had no business down there stealing their resources. You had no business down there stealing from the Moors. That's why they got in that ass. Okay? Same thing with our General Hannibal. You see what I'm saying? because while they was up in the caves of Europe, scratching rocks, God had already given us. He'd already given us the oil, the rubber, the cocoa, uh, the material to make cell phones, the material to make solar, and you'll be able to get into a lot of good information, a lot of good investments as we continue to move forward in America. Just checking the time here. And we want to make sure that we stay on tune for reparations. They're killing us in the street. They've been killing us in the street. We need reparations to be paid. We don't need to be running back to their programs. For what? When we got the African Development Bank, the African Import-Export Bank, and the right to be able to open up our own businesses using them in Africa as a supply source. You see what I'm saying? Don't hate your own people. Run around here making sure that we working every day for these crackers at $15, $16, $18 an hour. What you gonna do with that? Just a consumer. Just a consumer. That's all they want us to be, is consumers. Okay? That's all they want us to be, is consumers. And it's working pretty well with them. But now, since God is here with the virus all over the world, they had to put brakes on everything. Put brakes on everything. And all those countries that America's been trading with. As I was stepping outside the country, and I was talking to the bag handlers at these different international airports, they were African. They were taken up to Europe, France, or whatever, to be slaves. They were telling me the same thing that's happening to us in America is the same thing that's happening to them. That's why we got to stand up for reparations all around the world, not just for us in America. Care about your brother in the Caribbean. Care about your brothers and sisters in Europe. Care about your brothers and sisters in France. You see what I'm saying? For the culture and things that we've been denied of. And I was looking on this and see if the podcast is ended. Say, Eddie, has the podcast ended? Waiting for him to come back. Well, I'm going to see you next Tuesday when we be talking about veterans and their benefits, okay? Because I believe the podcast is ended. Okay, I found out that it's not ended. Yeah. Thank you, Eddie. Eddie told me, no, that's our technician. And Eddie will be making sure that all our technical things are done, that we'll have some Black individuals who got businesses and would like to have our people promote them. And we'll be making sure that they come. Well, since the pandemic, we can get them on the podcast live, talk about their products and what they're selling, and that'll be a great thing. We're not charging them anything. We're trying to get up and make sure that we help them get started, and I'm very proud to do that. We will still be interacting with our international soccer team. As soon as they get this together, as far as how to hook up, you'll see them see pictures. and you'll see them coming in on the podcast, talking about their experiences in Africa and how they want to be able to work with us. When I was there for those 4 months, I got treated like a king, like a king. I was taken from village to village and on TV shows because here you have a black man came all the way back, and I got to look at all the lies whites was telling about Africa, all the lies they was telling, and I was able to videotape a lot of things that was going on. Meetings with the mayors. I met with 3 presidents. I had videotape of it because I knew nobody would believe me. I had videotape of them talking about economic empowerment, working with African Americans in America. They have the product line. We can be able to make good money because you got all of Africa, not just West, it was 15 nations, to get products from. You had to get products from. Yeah, I see what that in your stream button is for now, Eddie. You know, so what we're gonna do is make sure that we continue to have this podcast. Make sure we uplift our people. Always talk about reparations. Always talk about the Black veterans and how come we don't have economic empowerment like we should have for serving. A lot of you individuals have to know that the Black veteran was forced into the military. We're drafted. $5,000 fine. 5 years in jail. $10,000 fine. Okay? Knowing that we had low wages, nobody had that. We're grateful for Muhammad Ali standing up because we shouldn't have been over there trying to fight to keep other people oppressed. We're oppressed here. And as soon as we got through with all that, working with the government, they start killing and lynching and murdering us all over again. All over again. So I'm going to be signing off now. And we'll be back next Tuesday at 10 o'clock to talk about the veterans and the economic empowerment. And we'll also be back talking about reparations. Want to show you what Biden said and how they try to mess around. Oh, okay. And I want you to subscribe to Commander Samuel Patterson Jr. podcast. And like I said, we'll be able to do some great things because I'm not taking any pay for this, but we're going to make sure that the people who want to advertise businesses on this will be welcome. We're going to make sure that our international soccer team is taken care of. And we're going to make sure that we talk about reparations on a weekly basis. We need to talk about this on a weekly basis. Okay? So, this is Commander Samuel Patterson Jr. signing off from Treasure Island in San Francisco, California.